After a long 7 years, Tyler has finally finished his time at Harvard Community College. With a master's degree in philosophy, I don't know how he got that at a community college, but regardless, he went out into the world on the hunt for a job and quickly realized there's not a single use for a master's in philosophy. So he decided he needed to go back to school, but traditional school wasn't enough for him, no. He was going a different direction.
When I was a kid, I violently denied that this game existed. I enjoy retro game hunting, but I only buy games in stores that I can find near me. None of that online shopping crap. That ruins the thrill of the hunt. But you can imagine the second I found Mario's Time Machine on the SNES, I was more than thrilled. So, I know there's multiple versions of this game, but because I only have this one, I only intend to talk about this one. In the early 90s, the concept of educational games was booming, so Nintendo decided to capitalize on it. Multiple times. And when I say Nintendo capitalized on it, I mean they had someone else do it because Nintendo was not involved in the development of this game. Regardless, from my understanding, it looks like we are in for a stellar game. The game boots up directly in Bowser's Castle, where we find out Bowser has a new plan to use his time machine that he just has for some reason to go back in time and steal valuable historical artifacts. So naturally, because why not, Mario goes to stop Bowser. As he arrives at Bowser's castle, he finds his new collection of junk he gathered throughout time. And thus begins problem number 1 of the game. Okay, so ideally I would assume this game is aimed at children's 8 to 12, right? What 12-year-old from the 90s is gonna look at an apple and say, "Holy crap! I better get this bad boy back to Sir Isaac Newton at Cambridge in 1687 AD. No! When I was a kid, I didn't even know what AD meant, let alone Cambridge! Regardless, if you can push past this, Mario is now on the move and finds himself surfing. Before you're even allowed to time travel, Mario must participate in a minigame that has him collecting mushrooms while surfing on a lake. You have to complete this minigame every single time you time travel. There isn't any substance to it either. You just surf around a tiny lake, grab mushrooms, and BAM! You're in 1687 Cambridge talking to Newton. Upon returning Newton's apple, you get to know him on a first-name basis, then immediately prove his gravitational theory wrong by jumping unnaturally high. That's when Mario pulls out his little space bomb of a return device, and back to Bowser's basement you go. Following good old Isaac's apple, Mario is on his way to return Joan of Arc's shield. Okay, so clearly the American education system failed me, big shocker, because I don't know a darn thing about Joan of Arc. Regardless of my little education, she calls me small and proceeds to tell me that God came down and gave her a vision that Mario would appear. Ooh, big whoop, that happens to me every night. Following Joan, again, as usual, Mario leaves on a first-name basis with these historical figures. You then make your way over to Da Vinci, who is painting the Mona Lisa. You return his papers and realize he is uncomfortable to be around and you hightail it out of there. Then we're off to 1776 Philadelphia, where we run into Benjamin Franklin! Following that, now it's our goal to hurry the Declaration of Independence over to good old TJ. We're on a nickname basis. That's just what I call Thomas Jefferson. No biggie. Following that, we run into Genghis Khan's grandson, then immediately jump over to Plato, who knows what plumbing is. Following that, we find some loser who says, "You're my type of guy, Mario." What? Then we find some random guy on a boat that I don't know. Shakespeare makes us uncomfortable, and so does Cleopatra. Then the time machine sends Bowser back to the prehistoric age, and he gets crushed into a fine paste. Yeah, so the game tends to drag from the moment you... Yeah, if you haven't gathered by now, this game is not fun. It has you constantly guessing on fill-in-the-blank questions, playing the same minigame over and over, and picking out years that nobody without Google would ever know. Not to mention the game doesn't tell you a single speck of control, so you'll be constantly fumbling around the uncomfortable interface. It's just wild to me that this exists. This is an educational game for kids that actively discourages learning. If you didn't know the exact year of any of these events, you cannot continue. There's no clues alluding to any of that until after you guess the correct year. Once you go back in time, the game then gives you all the information that would have been nice to know before you fumbled around the time machine for way too long for the game to become less fun than it already is. A better journey would have had Mario taking the artifacts, going back in time, then the only way to proceed should have been to gather context clues to get the right date to move on. But nope, that's just not how the game works. Safe to say, Mario's time machine did not give me the educational prowess that I desired. So there's only one option to go from here.
Find the picture which makes this sound.
I like your choice.